Hello everybody, this is News Reporter Jack reporting to you live from Harlem, New York, as always, reporting to you about the news that's going on. And today we're going to be talking about all that jazz. Did I say it right? All that jazz? Yeah. Do you know what all that jazz is? I don't. We're going to find out just what all that jazz is all about. I'm sorry, everyone, but I just wanted to find out. And today, as you can see, the groundhog is with me, making holes all in the floor. But we're going to find out what all that jazz is. And Mr. Antonio is going to be on TV. Can you believe that? Let's find out just what he's doing, because he's next. Oh, let's see. Oh, hi everybody. I'm Youth Pastor Emmanuel, and as usual, News Reporter Jack did not mention me on the news. But today, we're going to look at all that jazz, and it's about the Harlem Renaissance. And, well, our Bible verse today is Galatians 5:1, just to start out. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then. Do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Now, that Bible verse is used by the Apostle Paul, and he's telling them that they're free from sin. And sin is slavery. But what is sin? Sin is when we do not do what God has directed us to do. That's what sin is. We don't use our gift or our talent the way that God would like for us to use it. Now, some people would say the Harlem Renaissance was a sinful thing and that it just wasn't something that they could do. But people used their talent and their time, I believe, the way that God wanted them to, and because of this, African Americans were able to have a great big renaissance. Yeah, and what's a renaissance? Something new. That's what it is, and we talk about that a lot, but we're going to talk about today the Harlem Renaissance and the music, which was jazz. So, now, that the word freedom that Paul was talking about was that we can do anything. Christ set us free, so we can do anything. And God granted us our freedom so that we can not just do anything, but we can serve Him the way He wanted us to serve Him. For example, if a bird doesn't fly, you could say, well, that's okay. But if God intended a bird to fly and wanted the bird to fly, and the bird would start flying around, well, that's what God wanted that bird to do. That's the purpose that God gave that bird. Each one of us has a purpose, and God has a plan for our lives, and God wants us to use our freedom to execute, or He wants us to use our freedom so that we can serve Him and serve the plan that He has for us. And live out the plan, that He has for us. So, without anything further, let's go see what Calvin's doing today, because as I understand, Mr. Antonio is going to be on TV. It's going to be exciting, don't you think?
Yeah, now I have to go and watch TV because we have extra school days because of all the snow. It was terrible. Now I have to go to school some extra days. It's no good. Want my summer vacation to begin now. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. Anyway, I'm Calvin, and gotta watch TV. See what's on. What do you think is going to be on? Let me see. I've got to turn the TV on.
Okay, well, it's me, Mr. Antonio, and I'm here on television because I'm going to be talking about the Harlem Renaissance. We talked about that last week, but we're going to talk about it again this week because it's really important. Now, we only touched upon things where we talked about the people that did the writings and the poems and everything like that, which a lot of it was in the Harlem Renaissance. And for the first time, African Americans had freedom to express themselves with music. But you know that it didn't just take place in Harlem. We're going to learn about some other things too. Now, the Harlem Renaissance was a period in the 1920s when African American music, literature, theater, and art flourished. Originally, it was occupied by Native Americans. We're talking about Harlem, New York, and settled by the Dutch in the early 1600s. Harlem was largely a farmland, believe it or not, that developed into vast estates for wealthy New Yorkers until the late 19th century. Now, during the 1700s, this area played an important role for the American Revolution. The early 20th century, the population growth and commercial expansion resulted in real estate and transportation development that paved the way for an urban setting that would showcase African American culture. Although African Americans have been present in Harlem since 1630, the early 20th century saw the great migration of African Americans from the South and the immigration of African Americans from West Indies settling and were seeking economic freedom and prosperity. That's what they were seeking. They came from the West Indies. And all of this, they converged. The convergence of these two populations continued to grow until with the area, and it staged a big artistic revolution known as the Harlem Renaissance. Hey, you know what? We're going to also hear from a couple of people here. Now, Adela Ray, who's real good in school, has put together a presentation, and I want you to see what Adela Ray has to say about somebody who was a part of the Harlem Renaissance.
Okay, let me give you my presentation. It's about Duke Ellington. Now, Edward Kennedy Duke Ellington was born in 1899, and it was on April 29th. And he passed away on May 24th, 1974. That's a long time. He was an American jazz pianist, composer, and leader of a great jazz orchestra from 1929 and the rest of his life. So it was a long time. He had a friend named Ralph Gleason, who called him the most important American composer ever. He was born and raised in Washington, D.C. Ellington was based in New York City from the mid-20s and gained national profile through his orchestra appearances in places like the Cotton Club in Harlem. He was a master at writing miniatures for the they called it a 3-minute 78 RPM. They were records, basically. And Ellington wrote and collaborated he collaborated with other people, thousands of composers. The extent of his body, the body of work that he was doing was very large. At the end of the 1930s, Duke Ellington began a nearly 35-year collaboration with a composer and arranger. His name was Billie Strayhorn. Yeah, that was his name. And he called his writings and arranging. He made composed different music for him. It was very important. Duke Ellington was a great band leader, and he did a lot of things. Now, and also, some years, he did some things. He had an orchestra, and that's a lot of people playing different instruments. And he had something called he played at the Newport Jazz Festival in 1956. This was a major revival of jazz music, and he did that. He was great too. Hey, wait a minute. Somebody may have a question. I'm not sure. It wasn't a question. It was just the groundhog clapping his hands. Oh, okay. Oh, let me get back to Duke Ellington. Now, Duke Ellington was a great band musician, and he had a big band, and he was known for his eloquence, charisma, and he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize Special Award for Music, and that was for his music in 1999. Well, that's all my presentation. Thank you!
Oh, wow. Thank you, Adelaray, for your presentation. That was nice about Duke Ellington. And we also have to mention there was another band leader. His name was Count Basie. He was pretty big also for during the Harlem Renaissance and the music. Now, jazz music really went across all of the United States and became extremely popular in nightclubs and in other places. And as we're going to learn more, people use their God-given ability to sing music and also compose music. That's what Duke Ellington did. Now, let's get our next presentation. It's from Greg the Monster. Can you believe that? I can't. Okay, I'm Greg the Monster, and my presentation today is about the Apollo Theater. Now, the Apollo Theater was developed as a theatrical productions, or by theatrical producers, and it was Jules Hurling and Jules Hertig, and Harry Simon, and they were businessmen and took a venture in 1913 to develop the the Apollo Theater, and that's in Harlem too. I've been by it many times. I don't know. Now, in 1928, the Mintz brothers leased the theater for their own business, and they had dancers there. Sidney Cohen acquired the theater in 1939, and it became a venue for African American performers. And there was a guy by the name of Frank Schaefman, it was Frank. Did I pronounce it wrong? I think I got it right. It was right, Frank. What was that again? Oh, Frank Skishman, and and his family operated the theater from 1935 to 1976. A group of African American businessmen briefly operated the theater from 1978 to 1979, and the former Manhattan Borough president, his name was Percy Sutton, he bought it in 1981. A lot of people owned the Apollo Theater. And then it reopened in 1985. It was a refurbished, or they actually, they went back into the Apollo Theater and they rebuilt it and did some nice things. And There's been a lot of nice shows there, and a lot of nice things that take place in Harlem at this theater, the Apollo. And also they have recording. Well, they actually have a recording studio there. That was in September of 1991. And the state of New York, the Urban Development Corporation, bought the Apollo and assigned its operations to be ATF. Okay. And further renovations took place, and by the mid-2000s, the theater expanded, and now it's a great place to go, and it expanded. And we're going to learn more about the Apollo. Was that it? Well, the Apollo Theater is a great place in Harlem. I hope that you come out to see it one day. But that's the end of my presentation. Hope you learned something about the Apollo Theater. Okay, everybody. Now, we heard from Calvin. Calvin's next, and he has a great singer, and I want you to learn about her because she really contributed a lot to the Harlem Renaissance, and she's very popular too. And also, she spent some time, she lived in Baltimore City for a while, and we're going to learn more about her. But Calvin's going to talk about her, and that's who he's going to do his report on. He didn't think he was going to be on TV, but we're going to find out about Calvin, okay? Now, Calvin, you have to do your report, and you're going to tell us just who you're doing your report on. Are you guys excited because they're doing reports? Nobody? Oh, okay. Well, I know they are. They studied a lot.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Calvin's gonna do a report about a lady. But this lady was really great. She could sing good too. Her name was Billie Holiday. She was born Ednora Fagan, and she was born on April 7th, 1915. And she passed away on July 17th, 1958. Now, she was an American jazz and swing music singer. Her nickname was Lady Day, and she was given this name by her friend and music partner, Lester Young. Now, Holiday made significant contributions to jazz music, pop singing. Her style was strongly influenced by jazz instrumentalists, inspired a new way of manipulating phrasing and tempo. Billie Holiday was known for her vocal delivery and improvisational skills. In other words, she could make up things real good. She was a real good singer. Now, she had a troubled childhood, and she began singing in nightclubs in Harlem, where she was heard by a producer by the name of John Hammond, who liked her voice. Holiday signed a record contract with Brunswick in 1935. Her collaboration with Teddy Wilson produced the hit "What a Little Moonlight Can Do," which became a jazz standard. Throughout 1930s and 40s, Holiday made mainstream success on labels such as Columbia and Decca. Now, however, in the late 40s, she was beset with a lot of legal troubles and drug abuse, which was not good. A short prison sentence she had that too, and Holiday performed for sold-out concert at Carnegie Hall. She was successful in her concert performing throughout the 1950s. with two such sold-out concerts, like I said, at Carnegie Hall. Now, because of her personal struggles, and this actually altered her voice. In other words, all the drug use, it hurt her voice. Her final recordings were met with mixed reaction, but were mild commercial success. In other words, she wasn't as successful as she was before. Her final album was Lady in Satin, was released in 1958. And like I said, now she passed away. She had cirrhosis and also heart failure. And that caused her to die on July 17th, 1959. She was 44 years old, but she made a significant contribution to the Harlem Renaissance and jazz music. So I had to tell you that.
Well, okay, everybody. That was about Billie Holiday and Lady Day. So, we learned a little bit about her. Although she had a troubled childhood, and although there were things that went wrong in her life, she still used the gift that God gave to her, which was singing. And through her singing, she actually touched the lives of thousands of people. Now, we can say that her drug use was bad, and that also was not a good thing. But she had a troubled life. But what her life really is a testament to is that even though there was trouble, she still pushed through and was able to use her talent to actually perform the way that God wanted her to. So that's something that we learned today. Now, my good friend Shaniqua is going to talk to you about somebody else, and I hope that we all learned something from her, because there's going to be a test after all of these presentations. We'll find out who learned the most.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Ella Fitzgerald. Now, she was born April 25th, 1917, and sadly she passed away on June 15th, 1996. She was an American singer, songwriter, and composer, sometimes referred to as the First Lady of Song, Queen of Jazz, and Lady Ella. She was noted for her purity of tone, impeccable diction, phrasing, timing, intonation, absolute pitch, and a horn-like improvisational. In other words, she could improv things, she could do things real good, and she had the ability to do a lot of things. She did something called scat singing, but I'll move on. Now she had a troubled childhood also. Ella Fitzgerald found stability in music, and she was successful. And she was a part of the Chick Webb Orchestra, performing across the country, but also often associated with the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem. Her rendition of the nursery rhyme, a tisket, a tasket, helped both boost her and Webb to national fame. After taking over the band when Webb passed away in 1939, Fitzgerald left the band behind in 1942 to start her solo career. Yeah, she was going to sing solo. Now, Fitzgerald's manager was Mo Gale, a co-founder of the Savoy, until she turned the rest of her career over to a gentleman by the name of Norman Granz, who was, well, he founded, there's something called Vernay Records, and he produced new records for Ella Fitzgerald, and yeah, that's what she did. She had a lot of records and everything. Now, she did a lot of interpretations of the great American songbook. That's what she was noted for, and you can look that up online. Now, she also appeared in films and was a guest on popular television shows in the second half of the 20th century. Outside of her solo career, Fitzgerald created music with Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, and the Ink Spots. Now, these partnerships produced songs like A Little Dream, A Little Dream for Me, Cheek to Cheek, Into Each Life, Some Rain Must Fall, and another song was It Don't Mean a Thing If You Ain't Got That Swing. Yeah, in 1993, she celebrated 60 years of being in music. Can you believe that? Fitzgerald gave her last public performance in 1993, and like I said, she passed away at age 79. Now, she was the first African American to win a Grammy Award. This took place in 1959, but that wasn't her only award that she would get. She got 14 Grammys. She got the National Medal of Arts, the NAACP Inaugural President's Award, and she got the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award, and like I said, she was the first one to win a Grammy. Oh, I'm ready for the test. I'm ready for the test. I'm ready.
Okay, you guys are ready for the test? Now, let's figure this out. I'm going to say, now, I want people to name 2 singers that we looked at today that had a troubled childhood. Okay, the answers are coming in. Let me see what the answer is. Okay, Shaniqua got it right, and looks like Delray, well, we know he's going to get it right. And let's see, we have, let's see, we're getting Shaniqua's. Greg the Monster, okay, you got that right, Greg, that's excellent. Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on, Calvin, but Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady, I don't know if they had trouble with childhoods, but that's not what we were talking about. Okay, so let's go on and find out. Now, we're going to talk about a theater that's in Harlem that actually was owned by African Americans and now was owned by the city of New York. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Shaniqua got it right. Okay, that's good, Shaniqua. And, oh, well, Delray, he got his right. And let's see, I think, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, Calvin, why am I doing this? Calvin, Giant Stadium is not, okay, all right. MetLife Stadium was not the place, okay. He keeps giving me football answers for some reason. All right, so we're now going to see, can you name just one person that had their own band and was really famous? Let's see here. Okay, Duke Ellington. Looks like Shaniqua got hers right. Oh, gracious. Okay, let's see what we have here. Let's see. Okay, Greg, you said the Apollo Theater, okay. And the Apollo Theater wasn't a... What? Are you changing your answer, Greg? Okay. What was that? Cab Calloway. You know, we didn't talk about Cab Calloway. He was a very, very famous musician and band leader. Thank you, Greg. I'll let that answer count. And Shaniqua, okay, let's see here. Delaray, your answer was, okay, Duke Ellington. Okay, that's good. I don't even want to look at. What do you think Calvin's going to say? Oh, gracious. Let's see. Let's see. What's Calvin going to say? Let me put. Okay, Calvin. Patrick McComb was not a band leader. You know, I think you're playing Madden football, and oh wow, while you're at home, I had to talk to you, Calvin, and maybe I should talk to your dad. I think that's what you're doing. You're playing Madden football. Oh, okay, guys. Well, that's the end of the day. I hope that everybody learned something. I'm not too sure what Calvin learned. Hope you guys have a great week.